As entrepreneurs, we have to be effective communicators. And this is one of the biggest challenges we have, because we will not have success unless we can communicate well and inspire people to take actions. Our clients, our customers, our future clients and customers, our strategic partners. But so few of us really take the time to be great at this. And I have a resource for you, a fellow entrepreneur. Patricia Fripp has been just a leader in the industry. I've known her for many, many years. I've had the opportunity to attend a number of her programs, and she's helped me tremendously, many of my peers. She is a Hall of Fame speaker in her own right. She's an executive speech coach. She's a sales presentation trainer, but above all, she's an entrepreneur who cares about entrepreneurs. And she's here to help us and walk us through the 5 key steps that you need to know to really make a huge impact. I'm John Bowen. We're at aesnation.com. We're all about accelerating your success. Stay tuned, because we're going to make it happen.
Ordinary success? No way. You want amazing, remarkable, exceptional breakthroughs. Dig deep, think bold, drive hard, watch yourself soar beyond your dreams. AESNation.com.
Patricia, I am so excited to have you. You and I have been friends for a long time. You've been making a big difference with an awful lot of people. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Patricia, you are so good at helping people be great communicators, great presentations, whether it's one-on-one in a group setting. And I really want to get into your secrets, all the lessons you've learned being an entrepreneur, helping so many other entrepreneurs and key executives. But before I do it, I want to go to the backstory. And, how did you get here? Because as a young lady, a young woman, a young child, my guess is you didn't get all excited that I'm going to be an entrepreneur or presentation. I'm going to be, the first woman that was I believe you were president, National Sales or National Speakers Association, which is the premier association for speakers. And I remember when you got that, and that was a huge deal. And it was before you and I were playing on the internet. We certainly weren't talking about through Skype and so on. But tell me how you got to where you are.
And that's a great question, because all advice that we give anybody is based on our life experience. I grew up in a small town in England, had a brother who was 1 year, 1 month, 2 days, 12 and a half hours younger than I am, who turned out to be an internationally acclaimed rock and roll guitarist. But at the time, I just knew that he was a lot smarter than I was, at least academically. We had a dad who was an entrepreneur. He was in the real estate business, and at age 12, I thought I'm more artistic than academic, so I decided to be a hairstylist. And the first day I went to work, John, my dad gave me advice that I have built as the foundation of my life and my own businesses. He said, don't concentrate on making a lot of money, but rather concentrate on becoming the type of person people want to do business with. And you most likely will make a lot of money. So that was the foundation. I had very good bosses. I was a hairstyling apprentice and went on. And at age 20, I realized everyone in America was rich and the streets were paved with movie stars. So I arrived in San Francisco at age 20. No job, nowhere to live, didn't know anyone, had $500. And again, the belief that everyone was rich and they were movie stars. And John, I have not been disappointed. So first, I worked in the Mark Hopkins Hotel, in the beauty salon, and met people from all over the world, all over the country. And what I was very lucky in all the hairstyling salons I worked, I had access to develop relationships with people I would never have had the opportunity to meet. So little did I know that beyond that this was a business I was good at and I had a personality suited to, it was the level of who I met.
Well,
the turning point was at age 23. I became one of the first women in men's hairstyling when it was a new industry in the first really posh men's hairstyling salon in San Francisco. And there I had access to wheelers and dealers and the up-and-coming business execs and established business leaders. And these became my clients, my mentors, my friends. And this is a key for every entrepreneur.
It's so powerful. One of the things I want to do, Patricia, you have someone sent me a photo, or my assistant did. I just want to put it up because, maybe you can date this, because, this is, you got an extremely happy customer. You're smiling behind. You're at the top of your game here, and so tell us how you really became one of the top hairstylists, and then where you are today.
Well, good. Well, this was it. See, by working in the men's hairstyling salon, and the salon was owned by, was taken over by Jay Sebring, who was the Hollywood hairstylist. He did Paul Newman, Steve McQueen's hair. In fact, Paul Newman, Kay, and Joanne Woodward, Warren Beatty, and Julie Christie came to the opening salon party. This hand, John, touched Paul Newman. Anyway, and through that, how I built my business was taking advantage of opportunity. So, for example, I had to build a business. With Jay Sebring, we had a lot of publicity, so people started coming in. And then I did what most people would now call networking. I called it, at the end of the day, I went to Harpoon Louie's, the local watering hole, and I flirted with the guys and passed out my business cards. Now, but that, of course, it was networking before we had the word for it. And then I would say to my stockbroker, well, how do you get clients? He said, we cold call. I didn't even know what cold calling was, or that people didn't like doing it. So he said, hey, here are 3 of my friends, call them. And so because I didn't know people didn't like cold calling, I did it. Would you like to come in? I'll give you your first haircut for nothing. And this is a secret. It's better to do something for nothing than nothing for nothing. And what I started doing for a hair product company was train other hairstylists. And I always said, look, don't sit and wait for clients. You have to find ways to get the clients in. And it's better to have your haircuts walking around the streets and people saying, wow, you look good, than to not do anything. Anyway, with it, and plus, because it was a novelty, I was the first woman. In that industry, I used a lot of publicity. I was invited on radio shows, television shows, all the local papers wrote about me. And then this is a secret that all entrepreneurs learn very early on. It doesn't matter how good you are at your skill or how great your company is, the world has to know about it. Now, in those days, John, as you mentioned, there wasn't the internet. Having the best yellow page ad, going out, using more low-tech ways to promote. And so radio, television, newspaper articles, these were great ways to build on your own personal network. And then I started traveling nationwide doing presentations for the hairstyling company. And my clients, who like you were movers and shakers, said, hey, Patricia, come speak to my Rotary Club, Kiwanis Club, Lions Club. Oh, can you speak at my staff meeting? And after 2 or 3 free talks, I realized people who heard me speak came in my salon. And as I'd been to Dale Carnegie, and I knew how to stack my ideas without using notes, and I used my personality, people were always, they thought I'd be okay, but I was better than they expected. And I realized this is the least expensive way for me to promote my business. So for any of our entrepreneurs who are not maximizing giving presentations in the local community as part of expanding their marketing, their reputation, their network, they are overlooking the best opportunity.
Well, let me stop you here, because what I think that I want to just really make this even a larger point, because almost everything, Patricia, before the internet, this was by far how I built every business I built. And so many of the successful entrepreneurs is getting out there, getting the publicity, building the relationships, oftentimes, having the relationship, giving the presentation, but in the back of the room, you would build the relationship and do things together that would create tremendous value. Well, now today, you go, well, DC, you don't do that as much. No, that works extremely well, but you have the ability to do it even exponentially. You and I are in Northern California today. You're a little closer to the Golden Gate than I am, Bridge, but we're both here in Northern California. We're talking over Skype. We have several thousand of our friends listening to us. And so the ability to go exponentially in the communication, it just requires it so much, Patricia, to be good at what we're doing. We owe it to our companies, to our teammates, our partners, and to our clients and future customers to be really good at this.
And all promotion, and I'm the first to admit I became a shameless self-promoter. All our promotions, our marketing has to be ongoing, consistent, and relentless. You start, you don't stop. You revisit, you refocus, you might redirect your message. However, you keep going. And as you say now, between YouTube and Skype and Twitter and Facebook and a multitude of other ways, and just like this, podcasts, I do a lot of Google meetings that then live afterwards on YouTube. So there's so many ways, and this is the secret, and we both know that you have to give value before you ask for business. And if people like what they hear for nothing, if they like what they see on YouTube, if they like your article, there's more chance of them, if they're interested, in saying, well, what would you do for me?
You know what I like, Patricia? I really love that you shared the hairstylist right in the beginning, because that's what you were doing. I mean, you were building, I call it conversational marketing, and we've got to get people to raise their hand to work with us, and oftentimes the best way is giving them results in advance, and your results in advance were a hairstyle. With what you're doing today, you're sharing information. So many entrepreneurs, that's how we're doing it. So we need to really be thoughtful. That worked before the internet and all the mediums. It's just one more medium, all the Facebook, everything you named, it's just a delivery medium. It's so important, though, that we have that message. We have that understanding that we have to get the word out to our message, and that has to be of something of value. And you've demonstrated that extremely well in everything you do. Let me go, one of the parts, you're so succinct in everything you do, and I'd love you to walk us through kind of, the lessons that you've learned, how our fellow entrepreneurs can be great communicators.
Good. If we had to sum up what I've learned in 35 years in crafting a message, if we have to do this, craft a message, then one, always remember your audience, be it 1, 100, 1,000, is more interested in themselves than they are in you. That means if it is a personal conversation, look at it this way. You will be perceived as interesting if you are interested. I work a lot with sales teams. And before I work with them, I say, well, let me see what you're saying now. So often their presentation is, hi, I'm John Smith. This is what we do. This is who we do it for. With all the... I have so many rollover lines. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. But we know that you're doing a good job marketing. That generates people calling you.
I take on the hook, and they're still calling. Anyway, so go back to be interesting. You have to be interested, and don't follow this is who I am. This is what we do. This is who we do it for approach. Always, we know, start by finding out about the client. So if you focus your conversation or your presentation, if it's in sales, focused on their interests, their opportunities, or their challenges.
That's, and I want to reiterate that just a little bit too, because I think that is such an important element, Patricia, because, our favorite subject is ourselves, and it's so easy. Yeah, we're fascinating people and so on. And fellow entrepreneurs, we all think that. And to the extent that we can really, start a conversation with the person they think, our prospective customer or strategic partner or current customer, we have the ability, because they think they're the most fantastic. Not only do we build those relationships, but they are engaged, and it's just so critical. And I have seen way too many sales team, and some of them have been mine, that they start that way and they kind of lose that consultation. They think that whatever they're doing is so exciting that they have to share it instantly.
If we look at the 5 ways you can improve a presentation, and then we'll go back specifically to this conversation with salespeople, it's how do you start? How do you structure? How do you emotionally connect? How do you tell stories and examples? And how can you add razor-sharp specificity? So, for example, when we're talking about opening, the first 30 seconds of a conversation or a presentation are the most important. It's the flavor scene of a movie. So in a sales conversation, now assuming that whether it's the first time or you're now brought back to a more formal presentation, I would always start with saying congratulations. What are they most proud of? Congratulations. Your latest advertising campaign is spectacular. Congratulations, your stock price just went up 3 points, and I notice your major competitors are down. Congratulations, every single person who engaged with me on my way to this meeting smiled and welcomed me. Your core values are working. Then, thank you for the opportunity to discuss how our solution could be what you're looking for. Most professionals thank people for their time. No, thank them for the opportunity. Because John, when we sound the same as everybody else, how can you be perceived as different? Or certainly not the best.
Yeah, and when I always like the line, instead of being even differentiating ourselves, we want to be distinctive. And yeah, and I'm going to give, you can, on our Scott McCain, who I believe you know very well. Yeah, and Scott got me talking about that, and I just love that because, and particularly, he talks about just being distinctive in one thing. You got to differentiate yourself overall, but distinctive in one thing. And boy, if there's ever been a good spot to be distinctive, it's in that opening relationship, that discovery relationship where, everyone, the temptation is to pitch, basically. No matter what industry, whether you're selling widgets, whether you're in professional services, whether you're, any kind of business whatsoever. And by separating this out, all of a sudden now we have that distinction, and we've started well. So, number one you said was starting well. Let's go to number 2, having a structure, because, oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we're quick on our feet. As our salespeople think they're even quicker, and they don't worry about it. They kind of wing it. And
that's it. They are overly cocky. Oh, kid, I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't need to rehearse. And if anyone ever says that to me, I say, oh, fine. I understand you're a great subject matter expert. What's your opening line? Of all the professionals I help, even if they have their presentation together, I have never, John, never, ever, 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 ever worked with an executive, a sales team, or a really smart individual, an entrepreneur who's a charismatic speaker who knows how to open and close with impact. So that's why the opening is so important, and it certainly should not be hi, my name is, when they know who you are. Now, if it's a speech, let's just say you're out marketing, you're giving a presentation, or you're an expert in your area, you're asked to speak at your association meeting, you can start with a story or a rhetorical question, such as, if I were to ask you, is 2015 going to be your best year ever? Perhaps you'd say yes. Perhaps you'd say no. Most likely you would say, John, I would love it to be. Can you tell me how? Well, congratulations, you're in the right place at the right time, and in the next 45 minutes you will learn the 5 specific ways too. So can you see, you're engaging the audience, you're getting to the point, you've already let them know there are going to be 5 areas on this presentation. So that would be it could also be a statement. It never ceases to amaze me that intelligent, well-educated, and ambitious individuals frequently overlook developing the #1 strategy that is guaranteed to position them ahead of the crowd. So, so you can make, so there are multiple ways. It's just get to the point, say something interesting. Then we have to have a simple, logical structure built around your key premise. So give me one subject, John, that you might speak on.
So I speak very often when I'm talking with entrepreneurs, because I'm a financial person, on the costly mistakes they make financially.
Okay, good, perfect. So your premise could be, as an entrepreneur, with no more clients, no more advertising, nobody else in your database, you could double your profit. Now that will get their attention. Now they would be thinking how? By understanding the 6 ways you can stop making costly mistakes. So you see, the premise is that they can double their profit, say. Then the simple structure proves that premise, which is 2, 3, or 4, or however many ways you have to do that. So that is the simple structure. So you don't have to have a PowerPoint, and you can have a PowerPoint, but even if you do, you have to do the structuring and the organization on paper, because the creative process is messy. That needs to be on paper, swiveling it around. Then when you've got the organization, you ask yourself, where must I have a visual to reinforce what I'm doing?
Yeah, this is really good, Patricia. What I want to do, because I want to make sure we get through all 5 and get this, and because I'm finding as you're giving the subjects, I'm leaning in. I want to hear them, and that's what we want to do, and this is what we want for all entrepreneurs. So we're going, #1, we got to start well, got to be clear on, that relationship. The second is we've got to have a structure. We see over and over, we're so impressed with people that have that structure. I mean, we give them credit, quite honestly, that they're a lot smarter. I'm going back to no matter your political beliefs, when President Obama and Romney did the first debate. Romney won, really for most people, not just independent, because he was able to provide that framing and structure in everything that he did. But what in so many campaigns, and this is both politically and emotionally, politically or business, is the emotional element. You have that as 3. Tell us how, we're particularly, I'm a financial guy. We're not that emotional, many entrepreneurs are pretty dispassionate. How do you bring that emotional connection in?
Well, we understand that we connect intellectually and emotionally. So think of this. Logic makes you think. And if you're talking finance, or if you're changing a vendor that's going to actually charge you more, it has to be an analytical, logical decision. However, emotion makes you act. And if you can emotionally connect to an audience in any situation, they are going to connect with you and more likely to buy into your ideas. So you emotionally connect, 1, through eye contact. So obviously, if you're talking to people around a boardroom table, then you need to give piece of the pie eye contact. Many people think he's the decision maker or she's the economic buyer, I'm focusing on her. Well, yeah, but everyone's there for a reason. So they might not make the decision, they're influencers. So you share your eye contact with everyone for a thought, an idea, or a phrase. You don't keep moving. You actually really look at people for 5 or 6 words, or it might be a whole sentence. Then, and this is key, you-focused language. And what I would recommend us all do, just record and perhaps have transcribed your sides of conversations. Or if you give a presentation, even a rehearsal of a presentation, just listen to it, perhaps have it transcribed and see all the times you say I. And it is impossible to speak and not say I, and just see if you could turn it around and then translate that even into your emails. So rather than I am going to send you the materials, no, you will be receiving the materials you requested. It's still saying I'm sending you my information, but it's more about you. And if we can have in our back pocket a list of you-focused phrases, in your experience, what is your opinion? How have you found in that situation? You will learn, you will discover. How often has this been a problem? So you focus language, and then you emotionally connect with stories and examples.
It's great. I mean, we've done a lot of research on this, Patricia, and one of the things that we find is that approximately in our research, it's 84% want to connect emotionally first and then justify through logic afterwards. And we all want to, particularly some of us who are more on the left brain dominant, do the, really just persuade people with the facts, and it doesn't work. But we've taken them now. We've got start well, have a great structure, emotional connection, story. Storytelling. I love storytelling because many of our coaching clients and financial advisors call it their secret weapon. And boy, I see some entrepreneurs have built billion-dollar businesses based on story. How does this come in here?
If you realize that your audience will not remember everything you say, they will remember what they see. And stories that can be visual, and they can be very short. For example, one financial advisor that came to me for advice, when I, of course, looked at her website before I called her back, and she said, and their line, and I thought, this is someone who understands the power of words. We deliver, what was it? We deliver at the speed of FedEx and the quality of the Ritz-Carlton. So in one line, you are creating pictures. So if you think of stories, you have to have characters, stories about people. So if you don't say, we have a client in Cleveland, even if you can't mention their name, you need to say, we have a senior executive of a software company called Fred. All right, so give him a little backstory, just so we know, is this someone I relate to? Is this someone I admire? Oh, is that just like me? So your characters have to have backstories. And just simple, their experience, their title. And then when we deliver the story, we drive it forward with dialogue. So you don't say, I wish you could meet Mary. When I first met her, she told me that she was going through a very challenging time. No, how you'd actually do it is deliver the dialogue. Wish you could meet Mary. When I first met her, she said, Patricia, we're having a tough time. And first of all, you put your name in the story. So you know, and the audience knows who's speaking. And then it's easier for you to deliver in dialogue because you know it's the other person speaking. So when you have to have characters, you have to have dialogue, and the point has to be obvious. And if this were a client example, follow the formula: situation, solution, success. And what we have to do is shrink what might have taken months into one short period of time. So you might say, John called and said, help. We only hire experienced sales professionals with a good technology background. We naturally assumed they could tell our company story. We put together a meeting. They had to present to the senior management, and we were horrified. I have been challenged to scour the planet for the best sales presentation skills coach. I'm lucky you're only 34 miles from headquarters. Now, somebody actually said that. So what you're going to do is take what might have taken months to actually get to that conversation and put it in one conversation to get to the point. What is this challenge? Because by the time you're talking to this executive team, in fact, you might have spent months, and so you're shrinking that. And then you say that's a request not dissimilar from yours. And what we did was bullet, 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 bullet. So the solution you can do in your words. And again, just like the situation, the success needs to be in the client's words.
Yeah.
If you were to call John, he would tell you, just as he's told us many times, I would not have believed it possible that bullet, 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 on time, under budget. Okay. So they are some of the techniques and stories.
Well, and it's so powerful, Patricia, and I want all the entrepreneurs to think for a moment of, do they do it? I mean, are you doing it? You know, as you're listening to this, if you're on the video podcast watching it, and if not, why not? And then think about someone you know beyond Patricia now who does it and how effective they are. And it's probably, if you do know, it's only one or two people. And this is where, that differentiation, distinction is just so powerful. Let's go to the fifth step. And this is being, having specificity, specific. How does that play?
Specificity builds credibility. And I am appalled, shocked, and horrified by the sloppy language from brilliant speakers, consultants, and executives. Let me give a specific example. I have a word that it is my mission in life to remove from business communication, and I am failing miserably. Perhaps you can join my mission, and that is talking about your product, your service, your expertise, and calling it stuff. That is debris. People do not know they are doing it, which is why you must record yourself. You will not improve what you don't know needs improving. I was working with a client. They had spent, John, $40 million on this new solution. And when the national sales manager, actually international sales manager, got it, this man was polished, powerful. He looked good. He had obviously prepared because he was using no notes, no slides. And I thought, wow. And then he said, our clients need our stuff. And he went down in my estimation. How can you talk about your $40 million solution and call it debris, which is what STUFF is? Right, good. I would also look at, so when my clients, if they say there are three things that will make us successful, or they talk about, so I'll just say, can you tell me specifically what you mean? Because you could say, there are three things that are going to make you successful. I would say, well, would it sound more valuable if we said there are three strategies that will make you successful, three techniques, three ideas, three whatever? Find the most powerful words. And I would also not only make a list of you focused language, make a list of power words. Come up with the phrases that describe what you do. For example, am I inviting you to a seminar, or am I inviting you to an action-packed, information-rich, audience-involving seminar? Use good adjectives, adverbs, and good specific descriptive words.
No, that's so powerful, Patricia. I mean, I love this, and some of those things I recognize that I have not done as well as I should, and this is something that all of us as entrepreneurs, it's really important to take the time. I've got a major launch that I'm doing. Of a new solution, not stuff, solution. And so, I mean, when you go through and you start thinking of these and how you can more effectively communicate one-on-one, group setting, as well as, maybe on video, in a big auditorium, whatever you're doing, and maybe it's all of those. Boy, that specificity, all these steps, bringing through to make sure that message resonates with the right people to attract them, to get them to raise their hand, is just so powerful. Let's go to the next segment. I want to reach out, and the next segment is the book of the day.
Book of the day.
Patricia, what are you reading now, and what would you recommend to your fellow entrepreneurs?
What I would recommend all fellow entrepreneurs, not only now but for the entire year, is to have a good thriller that absolutely engages you, that takes your mind off business and the challenges. A book that will if you're delayed on a plane for 4 hours, you can only do so much catch up with your email. Then when you get on the plane, your reward is to read a good thriller that makes you so engaged and involved, you don't care that you're going to get to Cleveland at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to read over Christmas. I am saving the Lee Child latest book on Jack Reacher, who's the character, and getting involved in his way of solving the world, one man against the elements.
No, it's great. It's been a while since I've done that. As soon as you've recommended it, and you're the first one, I think, out of about my first 100 interviews to do that, and it is. We all need a release. We need to have this separation, and boy, if you're stuck in a storm at an airport and you've got that great book, you can be excited about it. So we might as well do that. Well, let's go to the next one. And that is the resources. And what I would like to do, Patricia, is go to your resources. And what I'm going to pull up here is your first, your website. And tell us, I'm going to put it up on screen. It is at Fripp, FRIPP.com. And Patricia, what are people going to find, or your fellow entrepreneurs going to find here?
Well, one, you can find literally hundreds of articles. You click on any one of the pages, put in the search box what you are most interested in, and you're going to find a blog post or an article with its sales presentations. The blog that we add new items 3, 4, 5 times a week are always around how to more persuasively get your message across. So there are a lot of free resources. You can certainly look. We do have services, sales training, speech coaching, and speaking at conferences. However, if you were going to pick one, John, and from Fripp, you can connect to it, or you can go to it on your own, Fripp VT.
Yeah, let me pull that up too so they can see you there. And powerful, persuasive presentations. What are they going to find here in the tours and courses?
All right, this is my highly interactive, learn at your own pace virtual training. It's having me as your own personal speech coach 24/7 in the areas of designing presentations, sales presentations, delivering webinars, all aspects of being powerfully persuasive, speaking to any size audience. And if you click on free trial, you can take 3 of our popular chapters, and I bet you're going to find one of them is on stories. So you can get some more on that, but you'll see how we engage with you. These are interactive. You're not just watching them. They're designed for you to learn. So if you love what you see, sign up. And it's a very cost-effective way to have me share with you the best I've learned in 35 years.
No, I would agree wholeheartedly. I mean, you've priced it, really inexpensively. Encourage people with the communication needs that we have, all of us. I mean, this is such a minor expense for what we're doing. Now, let me go to the last section here. which is key takeaways. And Patricia, I just want to go through and make sure everybody got this. You can go to aesnation.com, and we have all the show notes. We'll have the transcription of Patricia and our conversations. And I'd really encourage you to go through each of these 5 steps and the recommendations that Patricia made, because they're just so powerful. You know, 1, starting well, really understanding that, you know, you aren't the most interesting thing. Your product, your solution, your stuff is not the most interesting thing to that individual. How do you go ahead and engage them right from the start with the understanding of they're looking what's in it for them? Second is have a structure. I'm just, you know, when you're working with a true professional, they have the framing, they have the structure, they take you through effortlessly. People appreciate that tremendously in today's busy world. Third is emotional. You have to connect. We talked about that. We have the research. 84% of the people want to connect emotionally first. And then it doesn't mean you don't use logic. You got to have that structure, that logical presentation of how they need to engage with you. But that emotional connection. And 4, I'm going to call it the secret weapon as a story. Patricia gave a couple examples here. She started the podcast, bringing us back to her time as a hairstylist and that journey. And you're going to remember her more. I mean, this is the power story. Story precedes. People will introduce Patricia as this, unbelievably talented presentation, coach, trainer, virtual tools, all that. But they're also going to talk a little bit about the edge, that hair salon. And then be specific. Be very careful with language, work with people, record yourself. I know it's painful, Patricia, when I watch myself on video and the recordings, and every single time I learn, and have coaches who watch it and coach you and help you. If you're making millions of dollars, you've got big business, the incremental is just so little. Patricia, I want to thank you so much for helping our fellow entrepreneurs. And I want to encourage everyone to go back to the notes, aesnation.com, and make sure you go through the transcript and highlight the 5 drivers, put them in place, and then go out and execute. It's going to make a world of difference for your clients, for your future clients, for your teammates, your partners, your family members. You're going to be much more effective. They're counting on you. Don't let them down. Wish you the best of success.
Exceptional, remarkable breakthroughs. aesnation.com